and time for us to get into the state of the nation. And one thing that we must agree as a country is after the election, we stand divided. However, we cannot stay that way. We need to get ourselves together, and we'd like to have that conversation. A quick reminder, you're welcome to participate in this conversation, and you can do that via social media. The Twitter handles are going to be displayed as we continue with this conversation. But let me start by, first of all, introducing the panel that we have here this morning, and I'll start with my extreme left, where we have Brenda Wamboi, who's a digital media consultant and researcher. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right. We also have Dr. Buka, who is a familiar face right here, and she's a lecturer in media studies at the Aga Khan University. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Last but not least, we have Naomi Baraza, who's campaigns coordinator, Amnesty International. Thank you for joining us this morning. And let me first of all start by, saying that it's different because normally we have male panels, but today it's the other way around, which is a good, it's a breath of fresh air. And I think when it comes to matters healing, I think that's a good direction to take. So anyway, we are a divided nation, and this might be so because of the politics that we've just gone through, and maybe not just the political period that we've gone through, but also some of the historical injustices. But before we get into all that, looking at where we are today, politicians give us solutions that are more or less inclined to their interests, which by one way or the other further divides us. Let me start with you, Dr. Buka. Is this a conversation we can have? Can we still have our own political leanings, believe whatever you want to believe in terms of politics, but still live as one nation, peacefully?
Thank you for that question. I think even as we start, I'd like to pass my condolences to the family of Geoffrey Mutinda and just, wish them God's mercy at this time. And strength. But I think your question is very important. And, when you ask people, can we move on? Many people ask, move on from what? And the most important thing then is that we cannot ignore the divisions that exist and the polarization that has come with an election. And it happens even in very strong democracies. We saw it happen in the US. We saw people cry, and many of them have not moved on after the election. Kenya is not different, and we are not a strong democracy as the US is. We are a maturing democracy. Hence, a number of people invest in elections because for them it means, for different people it means different things. It means a change of lifestyle if their candidate wins, or somebody from their ethnic group wins. It means opportunities. It means so many things to different people. And the first part of that healing is, one, not ignoring the fact that yes, we are polarized. Yes, there are people who are hurting, and part of that process would mean that we are aware of that that happening in society, and in as much as we are then pushing for peace and moving on, how do we deal, with that pain? How do we deal with the relationships? Because relationships have been ruptured. On social media, it's just gone amok. So how do we deal with those ruptured relationships? And the quality of that repair is extremely important. It means that we do not just look at the tip of the iceberg and talk about peace, but that we go down and ask ourselves, first of all, why are we here in the first place? Why is it that we invest so heavily on elections and politics that it defines the next course of life? Are there people who feel disenfranchised? Are there people who feel that this is their only one chance to be able to make a change? And once we understand that is, that those are the issues, then we are able to address them effectively.
All right.
Yeah.
Brenda, you are one who deals with a lot of digital media, and I'm sure the amount of toxic conversations that go on online give you an idea of where we are as a country. Sometimes I am left wondering, because if I went to the streets and I'm buying fish, I don't ask, where do you come from? I don't ask, what's your second name? But when I look at the conversations that we're having online, when I look at the conversation when it comes to politics, I am left wondering, are we living two kinds of lives?
Actually, I feel like very many people have those interactions where they ask people where they come from, or they speak in a language so as to ostracize the other person or to see whether they understand. And it actually happens a lot offline. When I go to the market sometimes, I remember there's once 2 weeks ago, and the lady that I was buying from refused to sell to someone else because he could not.
This is an experience you had yourself. You saw it yourself.
Yes. So this is something that it's
refused.
Of course,
why?
Because he could not speak her language.
Wow.
Yeah. So she spoke in the mother tongue, and then he could not understand. And she said she's not selling to people who are not her people. But of course, that was at the height of electioneering season, and there's a lot of like bitterness that has fomented. But I guess it's easier for people to say things under the cover of anonymity online, because some people, actually a lot of people, maintain anonymity, or they think that it's harder to be reached or to be found. But we are finding that, say you say something that's, that falls within what we categorize as hate speech, we have seen how easy it is for you to be found if you're not a politician, for example. So our politicians are able to get away with a lot of dangerous speech, a lot of hate speech, but then as a regular person.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we'll come to the solutions, but let me just get your opening comments, Naomi, on that very briefly before you take a short break.
Just like Daktari, I would like to start with sending my condolences to all the families that have lost people during this period. Human rights organizations have documented quite a number of deaths, and deaths that have been related to electioneering and the voting processes. So I would like to condole with them. After that, I would like to just say that it's possible to move on, but it's not as easy as it said. Moving on, I would pick from her again, from where to where. In my opinion, moving on should be strongly grounded on the premise of justice. And so if we are talking about moving on, we must be talking about people being able to access justice, politicians being able to take responsibility, both from the Jubilee Party and the opposition party, being able to take responsibility for things that have been caused, especially death and harm, that have been caused as a result of their activities. And of course, the state taking responsibility over the security of people, because life is paramount, and therefore no one should ever lose life in the manner in which we've seen in the past.
All right, let me pause you there because I want us to take a short break. It's now 24 minutes after 7. When we come back, we'll just pick it up from there. But remember, you're welcome to participate. We'd like to hear what you have to say. When we talk about moving on, what does that entail? What is moving on? And like Dr. Booker has rightly asked, moving on from where and to where? We take a short break. We'll be right back. This is Morning Express, and it's the State of the Nation.